Jehovah's passion for life. We just supported his team that be bringing them life.
All right, welcome back to the Blessedbeatz Morning Show. I'm your host. My name is Marcus, on Instagram at Marcus Sullivan Live. Back with another one, talking to, I want to call him now, this time a CHH OG, my brother. I can say round two, man. Tedashii back in the building. Look like you rolling, sir.
Man, I'm out here on the road getting it, man. I'm all over right now. Leaving a meeting and then a date with my wife for lunch. So yeah, bro, I'm on the road right now fighting traffic.
Well, I absolutely love it. I'm gonna call this joint, man, 10 minutes with Tedashii. And man, I just want to get into it, dog. I've been seeing you pop up all over social media for good rapping reasons. So we'll rap into that.
Come on.
First, I'm gonna get the business out of the way, man, and just catch up with your new EP, Dead or Alive. Right? I think the last time we talked, man, Holy Ground is what we were talking about, and just catching up on CHH. Yep. But man, new EP out. Let's jump into it, man. You got back in the booth. You even said it on the song, switch up the style. Now you saying some, bro, when I say you saying some stuff in this joint, you saying some stuff. Where's your mindset in this record?
So the whole idea behind Dead or Alive is for me to be able to communicate my own personal wrestle with the idea of either choosing life or death. And that for me came off the hills of fighting to choose to do the things that would bring life, to bring health and life back to my body, back to my mind. And that's everything from choosing to do therapy to choosing to do a particular brain therapy. Last year, after the Unashamed tour, I ended up having an accident backstage. I ended up with a major concussion. I lacerated my face in two places, and I ended up with a massive major concussion. And I was down for like 14 weeks. I couldn't drive, couldn't leave my house, all of that, man. And so for God to bring me back to a place, it's kind of ironic that I'm talking to you and I'm driving, because I'm like, man, I couldn't do this before. Like, I would get vertigo, I'd get dizzy. At one point, I lost hearing in my right ear. Like, all this stuff was happening. So it's in those moments, man, of hardship where we find ourselves facing feelings of alone, feelings of darkness, feelings of not knowing what tomorrow will bring. And so uncertainty always leaves us with a bit of fear. And so I started to question things, and I wrestled, and I had to choose. I was faced with this choice of either choosing life or choosing death. And I chose to choose life, man. And I said, no, I'm going to live. God still has me here. So it's got to be for a reason. So I'm going to choose life. So the whole project is the idea of dead or alive, you choose.
Yeah. Yeah. And man, I was listening to that Dead or Alive track, bro. And you said, this stress, I ignored it for like 10 years, right? And you just mentioned therapy. Bro, what you mean by that? Because I talked to KB recently, and he said he was doing therapy and stuff on the regular too. What did you mean by that? The stress for like 10 years.
Yeah, man. Oh, that's dope that you heard that, man. So I said the stress, I ignored it for like 10 years straight. I hope I'm not too late. Like, I had dealt so much with stress in my life, from losing my son, losing my sisters. I had two sisters pass away. My baby sister recently passed from stomach cancer. I've had tons of hardships through life with marriage, and anybody who knows statistics know a couple that loses a child, the odds are in their favor to stay together. Like, marriage has been hard, life has been hard. And then to follow it up with this idea that I honestly didn't know stress could kill you. I didn't know that. I got so used to stress being the norm. I didn't even know that I was stressed. I didn't even know to call it stress. I just knew I was dealing with something. And so after going to my primary care physician, then to my therapist, then to a neurologist, then to a psychologist, I'm going to all these different people, pastors, preachers. I'm like, man, help me understand how to deal with this. And the first thing I had to do was to take time to understand what stress really is, and know how to recognize it when it shows up in my life and in my body, in my mind. And so after so long with stress, if you don't address it and deal with it, it can take you out. And so I was like, man, I've dealt with this stress so long and not knew about it. I hope I'm not too late. I hope I haven't done damage to myself. So while I'm still living, I'm finna choose life.
Yeah. Bro, I'm going to dive deep right here. Tedashii right here inside the Blessedbeatz Show.
Come
Man, you
on.
talked about a married couple lose like the losses that you had. You lost a son. Talk about the Chase Foundation right now,
Oh,
and what that process is like. And I'm so glad you're doing stuff like that because that exists for other people, and now you're
yes.
putting something together for it.
Man, thank you for asking about that, bro. The Chase Foundation is an organization with the mission to be a present help for future hope. Because as we all know, hope is not always present, but people can be. And so I want to give people the opportunity to pursue hope. And through different programming, the goal is to love on families that have lost children, as well as the siblings to the child that passed. And so through our efforts, I want to be able to provide retreat opportunities to pour into and to love on parents who have lost children. And I also want to create funding for families to be able to cover the cost of the services, because I personally believe no parent should have to bury their child, or no parent, if they have to, should have to pay to
Yeah.
bury their child. And so as a result, man, I was like, I want to do something in that lane. And there are a ton of other things that we want to do as well. But that's kind of the first step. And I knew I wanted to name it the Chase Foundation because even though Chase isn't here, Chase is still a part of my family. He's still my child. And if I can do anything to further his name in ways that he can't because he's gone, then
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. And so I get the chance to do it through the foundation.
Man, I love that. And I'm gonna make a quick pivot right here.
Yeah.
Dear ma'am, dear sir, that you may be listening to this. If you know somebody who's lost a child, or you yourself have lost a child, and you want to sow into Tedashii's ministry right here or his foundation, Tedashii, tell them how, because I think this is a very important moment. And I know we're doing an interview and it's about music and artists, but I
Yeah.
think this is
Yeah.
something really good that people can sow into right now. So where can they sow? And I'm asking you, sir, ma'am, to find it in your heart as you're hearing this, to think about not only yourself as a parent, if you are a parent, or somebody that you may know, to sow into it.
Man, you got me emotional, bro. Man, the best way to do it is to go to chasefoundation.net, and you can find the donation tab there, and you can click on that, and it gives you a link to be able to send funds in. A lot of the things that I'm doing now is raising awareness as well as funds. So helping people understand who we are and what we're doing and why we're doing it. I remember this guy used to say from what's this joint, the suit company, Men's Warehouse. He
Okay.
used to say it all the time, like, man, I'm not just a CEO, I'm also a client. Like that's who I am. And I'm like, man, I'm not just running a foundation to run one. Like I've lived it. And so I'm trying to do what I can with the funding and with the resources and opportunities presented to me to love on families who are going through this, man. And so if you find it in your heart, if God moves on your heart for you to give, man, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. I had to throw that in there, man. This is why so many thousands of people not only like your music, but they like you. I know the times I talk to you, man, I see the real person behind the monster of an artist that you are. And bro, like I said, we just started talking about the Dead or Alive EP. I can't wait for the whole project thing to come out. But this song, like you said, bro, you switching up styles. I never heard you so I ain't gonna call it dark. I'm gonna say grit. I've never heard
Yes,
that side of
yes,
you, and I absolutely
yes,
love it.
bro.
Bruh, you talk about UNT a lot. You talk about
Yeah,
that. You were at K104, legendary station.
yeah, man.
If y'all never heard of it, it's a mainstream hip hop station. Tedashii was in there, and it's great that I got a chance to interview you right now because I saw it on my I saw it, and then I heard it, and then I said, okay, he killed it. And then I went over to a different social media, and you're trending over there, and then I go on to it, and you're trending, and I was like, this boy. All right, so the
Man,
freestyle. I'm gonna attach it to this interview. You killed the freestyle,
thank you, bro.
but bro, did you feel like I really got to bring it because I got to represent CHH, or is this in you? Is freestyling in you like that?
Freestyle's in me like that. Like I grew up freestyling, bro. I was on the north side of Houston, hanging with my cousins over in I don't even think the Mudflats there no more, off of Tidwell. Like we'd be over there rapping. I'd be over in Cashmere Gardens. I'd be in at where I grew up outside of Huntsville and Trinity. Like we'd be rapping there. I'm like, wherever I can freestyle, I'm trying to impress somebody. And you know, back in the day, if you freestyling and you really good, the ladies would try to talk. Like it's like I had incentives to do it.
Yeah.
But eventually when I became a Christian, I was like, man, this is a way to get people's attention, to tell them what my heart really is. And so like block parties back in the 70s and 80s with hip hop in the Bronx and in Brooklyn, like me, Cray, some other cats, we would go downtown Dallas. We would stand on the corner, Deep Ellum, wherever, and we would freestyle. And when we were done freestyling, one of us would stand up and be like, "Did y'all hear what he just said? He was talking about God right there." Blah blah blah. Like we would use rap as a way to hook people in, get a crowd, and they ready to like give money. They looking for the hat, and we like, nah, we just want to talk to y'all, and we share the gospel, talk to them. So freestyle has always been a part of who I've been, man. But having the opportunity to go to K104, I talked to my dude, and I was like, "Hey man, I want to come up and just do some stuff. Like let me know if you know somebody there." And I wasn't even thinking of being interviewed, but they looked up who I was and was like, "Oh, we got to interview this brother."
Yeah.
So they opened the door for me. Shout out to Didi in the morning and everybody over there at K104 Morning Show. Like they opened the door for me to come in and do what I did. So I was like, "Oh, y'all." She was like, "You rap, don't you?" And I was like, I can do something. I got you." So yeah, bro, I just leaned in.
Real quick, I was an intern for Didi when she was with Doug Banks' morning show. So that's a full circle moment. And I remember she was telling me that man, you'll have a long career. And I'm so glad that they opened up the door for a CHH artist to just be a rapper. And I could tell
Yeah.
after you killed that, the conversation changed. And I pray that that moment showed them that Christian artists, right, or CHH artists are about that rap life, man. But so I'm gonna ask you this: we're in the last quarter of this year. You got the Dead or Alive EP. What else is in the works? What's coming out? What's going on with
So, bro, I've been trying to help people understand who Tedashii is. Like, I get it because of art, because I'm an artist, because I'm a public figure. People want to know what your brand is, and they care about branding. And I'm the type of person, I like you said it earlier, like I've just tried to be real with people. This is who I really am. When I show up, I'm really myself. So I want the brand to be that, if anything. But in becoming that, I've decided to make more public all the stuff that I do. Like I do run a nonprofit in honor of my son. I am doing music and rapping, but I also sing. I love all types of music. You might hear me doing country one day. You might hear me doing rock. I love music. I'm an artist, but being an artist holistically, I also act. I started doing voice acting last year. I've already read for a couple of different I've already read for a couple of different things. Like I do voice acting. I'm stepping into on-camera acting. I've auditioned for stage plays. I recently auditioned for The Wiz on Broadway. Like I'm auditioning for different things because I'm like, God, you made me to be a creative communicator. That's who I am.
you?
And as a creative communicator, I'm going to fight to be in spaces where I can be creative, but I get to communicate the stuff that you put in my heart. So,
I love it. All right, you do a lot. And for social media purposes, before I get you out of here, I gotta say this.
yeah.
Guys, go listen to the Dead or Alive EP. Different sound of Tedashii. And here's heart on that joint, because I said you were saying some stuff too. I think the most important moment I want to say here is that Chase Foundation. Y'all go support that. If you got to rewind this joint, rewind it, go support that. But
Yeah.
for social media purpose, you are an
All
artist.
right. Let's
You
do
love
it. Let's do
music.
it. Yeah.
Tedashii, what's your top 5 CHH artists of all time? I just want to hear your top 5 CHH artists of all time. Yours.
All right. All right. You just gonna do me like this. All right, I'm with it. For social media purposes. Now, but for real life, for real life. So top 5, Triple E's my number 1. I'm gonna go a different way. I'm gonna start with 5. So 5, I'll go 5-1. But everybody knows, I said in every interview, Triple E is like my favorite rapper. The dude can really rap. Like I don't think people pay attention to how Trip puts like he puts syllables together as well as words. So you'll hear syllables rapping. I mean, you'll hear a syllable in a word rhyme with another syllable from a different word in a different part of the cadence, but the whole word rhymes, and then he's communicating a scheme. And I'm like, who is this kid? Like the dude is cold, bro. But anyway, right now for me, 1K Few is number 5. That's my number 5. Thizzle would be my number 4. This is gonna surprise people. Lecrae would be my number 3. And then number 2, just being sincere in the scope of Christian hip hop, Ambassador would be my number 2. and then Triply would be my number one. Like, that's just me. Now, granted, everybody else gonna have their people, man, but like, I think about nostalgia and what I grew up with, and I think about the people who I know because I do it. And I'm like, bro, when Thiz get on the mic, heads turn. When Craig get on the mic, heads turn. When Ambassador got on the mic and before we even started rapping, people's heads was turning. They was like, who is this dude? Who is this dude? So, you know, and maybe number two for me is Cross Movement as a whole, because I feel bad just separating him and singling him out. Like, Fanatic for years was my favorite out of the group. He just was. But the whole group as a whole, bro, would be my number two. They brought a standard to music for Christians that we cared about the hip hop being hip hop, not just being rap songs. It had to be hip hop. So yeah, bro, that was huge for me. But Cray is like equal par for that for me. And then nobody touching Trip. I want people to go back and listen to Trip Lee's albums from one to all the way through. Hear the tone, the voice, the cadence. Hear my man rhyme stuff. His rhyme schemes is crazy. But then the wordplay and the fact that word number 4 had a syllable that rhymed with the line 2 lines before it with another syllable. And I'm like, he really be thinking of this stuff. But if you don't care about hip hop for real, and all you care about is cadence and sound, then you're going to miss it. But Trip cold, bro.
I love it, man. Hey, Tedashii, when the EP, when the full joint come out, you know you got a home right here, bro. We'll go back again for round 3.
I'll come back.
Chase Foundation, y'all make sure y'all go support it. Dead or Alive, brand new EP. Bro, thank you for stopping through the show, man.
Thank you, fam. Appreciate you, folks. For real.
Jehovah's passion for life. We just supported his team that be bringing them life.